Why did the Club of Madrid decide to focus on freedom of association in the Middle East and North Africa? Why was that a particular area of importance for you?
As former presidents and prime minister, we are dedicated to further development of democracy. And of course, an important and integral part of democracy is freedom of association and good working conditions for civil society organizations in general. And we know that in some of these Arab countries you have had progress over the last years, but it's still a long way to go. And what we want is to encourage the governments of these countries to go further on, so they can be good examples also for the rest of the Arab world. And that is why we are going there, to engage first to have a fact-finding mission, to find out what are the working conditions for civil society organizations, then also talk to the representatives of the governments about legislation and other rules for civil society organizations' work. And thirdly, last but not least, to bring them into a dialogue, so they really can discuss how they can improve the situation, and so far the experience is positive. Just take one concrete example of what I experienced in Morocco. There we had a meeting with representatives from the media, which are of course crucial for the civil society and the whole democracy. And we brought together with them also the Minister of Communication from the government. And as far as I remember, that was the very first meeting where they could talk directly to each other across the table about a process of drafting a new media law of Morocco. And at the end of the meeting, the Minister of Communication invited representatives from the media to contribute to the further process and drafting of the law. And they were happy to hear that. And that is just a concrete example of what we want, namely bringing them together, building up confidence, so that the governments can open up more for the civil society organizations. Because there is no doubt there are many restrictions put on them. For instance, if they should have a public gathering, making registers of the political parties and non-governmental organizations and so on. So there's still a long way to go.
I think after this first year of your engagement, do you think that your trips to Morocco and Jordan have informed your own thinking on this law? Will you be taking these recommendations, I suppose, to a broader audience beyond the Club of Madrid and FRIDE?
Absolutely. I've learned a lot. And I have learned that, of course, we have to see the current stage in this country, the current situation, in light of their history and their traditions. So we cannot come there like experts from, for instance, from Northern Europe as and try to impose on them my democratic model. That will not work. But by listening, by learning, we can convey ideas and experiences, and it can be a good dialogue. And it's my experience that this has worked, and that it's welcomed also by the governments. And we had a conference where we summed up our experiences from Jordan, Morocco, where I myself participated, and Bahrain, which were the three countries in the first year of this project. And we also had together with us stakeholders from these three countries. And together with them, we made recommendations to the governments. And they were rather concrete for each of the countries. And now we will bring them, submit them to the governments. And since we already have had a contact and a dialogue also with the governments, I'm sure that this will be welcomed. And I hope and I believe this will contribute to strengthening the democratic forces in these countries, in the Arab world, which is crucial for the whole future, not only for this region, but for the whole world, because the conflict between the Islamic world and the Western world is on the top of the international agenda for the time being.